Good morning. Thank you all for coming. My name is Pamela Price, and I'm the elected district attorney in Alameda County.
Woohoo!
Thank you. We are here today to appreciate that the Board of Supervisors yesterday did the right thing and decided not to invest $20 million of our hard-earned tax dollars for a failed effort to overturn the November 2022 election. This is a victory for the people of Alameda County. This is a win for democracy. I first want to thank all of my supporters who have supported the effort to protect the win, who have organized themselves, who have come out both on the weekends and during the week, not only at the Board of Supervisors meeting, but they spent hours at flea markets and supermarkets everywhere, educating our community on why it was critical to protect the win. In November of 2022, the people of Alameda County went to the polls to elect a district attorney for the first time since the mid-1970s. In over 45 years, we had not had a contested election. I'm the first non-appointed, non-anointed district attorney in this county in 100 years. And so the people exercised their democratic right to elect a district attorney, and we won that election, as Ms. Gist said, fair and square, with 53% of the vote. We ran a grassroots campaign across this county, knocking on doors, talking to our friends and our neighbors. We were supported by so many people, community leaders, community organizations, labor unions, all over this county, faith-based organizations, churches, pastors. People came together to elect a district attorney who will represent, who is of and will represent the people of Alameda County. And that is the job that I was elected to do. I want to thank the true grassroots movement, my Protect the Win supporters. Thank you. I want to appreciate and honor and celebrate them, not only for their dedication, but their passion, and for not backing down to the Platinum Roots movement. Because that's what it is. Despite the reporting over the past year, the effort to overturn the November election has never been a grassroots movement. It is a Platinum Roots movement. From the beginning, it's been an effort bankrolled by a handful of super rich real estate investors and tech executives, the Platinum Roots behind the scenes, propping up the faces out front, falsely claiming that they were grassroots. And I want to be clear, there's no question that there are people who have been harmed in this community, who have suffered harm, who are grieving their loved ones, and we appreciate that. Some of the people in our Protect the Win movement, many of us, have lost loved ones in this community. There's no question that we appreciate their trauma, and my job, part of my job that I've taken very seriously, is to ensure that we offer trauma-informed support for all victims of crime, and we have done that. But Alameda County's grassroots movement is what the Protect the Win campaign is. The Platinum Roots movement is made up of high-priced people coming from out of state, that they had to spend $3 million to bring people here to try to buy signatures and put this special election on the ballot. The Protect the Win supporters are unpaid volunteers from all across Alameda County, and they are part of the grassroots movement here. So it's important for those who are watching us locally and nationally, but especially locally, to remember to follow the money. The opposition spent $3 million trying to overturn this election. My campaign raised barely less, or far less, but our passion for defending our democracy and our community will always outweigh the money that flows through, that tries to buy big money interest, that tries to buy Alameda County. And to those who have invested in this failed effort to have a special election, Philip Dreyfus, If you have $600,000, we need that money for Highland Hospital.
That's right.
We need that money for the Oakland Unified School District. Mr. Abed, if you have $225,000 to spare, we need that money for foster homes for transitional youth for our foster kids.
That's right.
Yes. Kenneth Lynn, if you have $100,000 to spare, we need that money for supporting nonprofits, doing non-violence intervention work, like Youth Alive and Courage and the Young Women's Freedom Center. Give them your money.
Yes.
John Whalen, if you have $135,000 to spare, put that money into mental health clinicians at our Family Justice Center. We need more advocates for human trafficking victims. We need to squash human trafficking in this community. David Freakin, and Ryan Graciano and Riaz Taplin, if you got $50,000 to spare, give it to the school district. Help us house our teachers. Can you all help us house our homeless population? We have people living on the street. It does not take $600,000 to just house even 4 or 5, a family of 4 or 5. Help us do that. Invest your money in building up our community and not tearing down our democracy. Justin Osler, if you got $40,000, help us hire more healthcare workers that will help with the behavioral health needs of our county. James Ellis, if you got $35,000, help us hire more fire people so that we can provide support for people who need immediate rescue services in medical emergencies. These are the things that will help our community and not destroy our democracy. So people want to know, what am I going to do now? What I'm going to do now is what the voters of Alameda County elected me to do. I'm going to work on our behalf to protect public safety. We're going to prosecute people, as we have been, who do harm to others in our community. We're going to continue advocating for victims and improving support services for victims of crime, as we have been. We're going to reduce our outrageous and unacceptable backlogs for services and support at the Family Justice Center and through our Victim Witness Advocates Division. We are attacking human trafficking with an expansive strategy in collaboration with the FBI, Homeland Security, the U.S. Attorney, OPD, the Oakland mayors, and other local law enforcement agencies, as we have been. We're going to prosecute organized retail theft crimes using the resources that my office has invested. We're going to go after the fences and reduce the demand. We're going upstream to prevent and stop criminal activity in this county. We're using new technology to protect our children and prevent child abuse from going unreported and unresolved. We're going to hold corporate landlords and polluters, illegal manufacturers, tobacco companies, and insurance companies who defraud our residents. We're going to hold them. Our team has secured record-breaking settlements and judgments for the people of Alameda County just in our first year, and we're just getting started. We're going to engage the community and give the community a voice through our commissions, our Victims Advocates Commission, our Reentry Commission, our Mental Health Commission. We're going to continue to utilize and expand the collaborative courts for those who qualify. We're going to support addiction recovery in this community. And drug courts, because that is often what drives crimes of necessity. We're going to uplift the office by creating a better working environment for our employees and investing in the physical plant, as we have done. We're going to amplify the mental health support that our employees need, because they suffer secondary trauma from the terrible things that they have to support people through. We're going to introduce new technology, and we're going to train our employees on our case management system, which was not done before we got there. We're going to develop a data infrastructure to open up the black box of prosecutions so we can have a public court. We're gonna hire, and we have hired, and we will continue to hire a diverse team of people who are committed and invested in this community. Over the last year, we have hired over 80 people, and we have said to them, if you live in Alameda County, if you are from Alameda County, come home. And they have come. Lawyers, professional staff, inspectors, who reflect the diversity of this community.
That's
They
right.
represent this community. They are not at odds and fighting against the community, as we saw in the other office. I cannot say enough.
That's right.
I cannot say enough for those who have spent the last, really, almost a year now, more than a year, saying we have to protect the win. We believe in democracy. The people of this county have the right to elect a district attorney. They did that.
Yes.
We should not have to do it again.
That's right. That's
Right.
right. That's
But
right.
we will.
That's right.
We will do it again. And to those who are prepared to invest $5 million, $9 million to try to overturn this election, you need to understand we are ready for you.
That's right. Yes.
So thank you for coming. I'll take questions now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ms. Price, you mentioned the amount of money that some of the donors to the recall campaign contributed to that effort, but this is not charity, this is politics. I'm just curious, are you optimistic given that the date is in November during the general? How do you think that changes the game?
The question is, how do I think having the election in November changes the game? Again, it's gonna cost us taxpayers an additional $4 million is what the estimate is. Obviously, the county, and I as a county officer appreciate that $4 million could help us save Highland Hospital.
Yes.
Yes. I
Yes.
would rather have that be the game. But if we're playing the game, I don't think the game changes. The Protect the Win campaign is going to win. We're gonna protect our democracy.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Ms. Price, would you,
Hang on for a second, let them get their questions out. Yes.
You guys challenged some of the signatures and gathering and whatnot. If you have a lawsuit that goes forward, how would that impact this election, if at all?
The question is, how will a lawsuit impact the election? Obviously, those are election attorney questions, which I'm not an elections attorney. I have election attorneys, and they are evaluating where it goes from here. So I don't have an answer for that. I know as a litigator, anything can happen when you file a lawsuit. So we will have to wait and see.
Can you maybe just tell us a little bit more about that lawsuit and where you are in that process right now?
Well, we are evaluating all of our options, and I can't really speak publicly about what the lawyers will do.
DA Price, do you have any update on the state's investigation? Because previously you had said the State Department was investigating the recall efforts.
The question is, do I have an update on the state investigation? I presume you're referring to the California, there were one formal investigation and one inquiry. The Secretary of State's office, under Dr. Shirley Weber, inquired of the Alameda County Registrar of Voters, what exactly are you doing? The Fair Political Practices Commission, which is the state agency that regulates and governs all of our campaigns, has opened a formal investigation into the supporters of the recall PAC that funded this effort to have a special election. I have not received an update on that. Typically, the FPPC, when they open an investigation, you hear about it at the end. But we know that there is significant evidence that we submitted to support the investigation of this PAC and the SAFE campaign.
DA Price, you did mention that you are ready to fight against your opposition. Exactly what does that mean?
That means, the question is, what does it mean when we say we are ready? That means that our supporters will continue to engage our community. We will continue to speak to our family, our friends, our neighbors, we will tell the truth.
That's right.
We will counteract the lies and the misinformation campaign that has been amplified by certain folks in the media and certain people. There's been a whole lot of misinformation. One of the first things I read about on Nextdoor in January of 2023 was that I had bought televisions for all the inmates at Santa Rita County. And then someone chimed in on a post, oh, I've read it too, I confirmed it, it's true. It's that kind of misinformation that we are going to clarify for our community. We're also going to tell people, I have published an annual report. We released it last week. It has the facts of what we have been doing to do our job. And so that's what we are ready to tell people the truth.
That's right.
Yes.
Amen.
I imagine there's a lot of
Amen.
voters who are just beginning to tune in. What is your message? They are probably concerned about public safety and justice and all of these things. Catch them up on this for me. What's your message to that?
In January of 2023, I walked into an office that was traumatized and toxic. And over the last year, as reflected in our annual report, we have uplifted the office, we have focused on public safety, we have prosecuted people at a higher rate than my predecessor did in the previous 2 years. We have tackled human trafficking with a new energy and new partnerships. We are addressing gun violence. I convened the first gun violence roundtable of law enforcement in this county by a district attorney in years. We are addressing all of that. If I urge the public, go online, you can Google it, you can find the 2023 annual report. It's 25 pages that will tell you what we are doing to protect public safety and what we will continue to do. In the first quarter of this year, my Consumer Justice Bureau has already secured judgments and recovered money in excess of $12 million for the residents of Alameda County.
Yes.
Yes, no.
Yes.
Dear Price, so Representative Eric Stonewall tweeted out a few days ago, quote, soft on crime Alameda County prosecutors have been given the bad guys a green light to hurt people that used to have never felt so and say, we need rule of law. That seems to be directed at your office. Would you respond to that? Because, the recall count has been saying, one of the major claims is you've been soft on crime. I know you've explained that people don't understand how the office works, but can you address this?
Yes, we were minding our own business, doing our job, and what you're referring to is Congressman Swalwell talked about an incident where a postal worker was robbed at gunpoint in Swalwell's district, and he used that unfortunate incident to attack my office and my administration. The public should know that Congressman Swalwell has never reached out to me. I have met with many of our elected officials. I've met with every mayor, police chief, county administrator of the 14 cities that I represent. I've met with Senator Wahab. I'm in touch with our state assembly people. Obviously, I support Barbara Lee and I support Latifah Simon, who is running to succeed her. But Congressman Swalwell has made no effort whatsoever to reach out to the Alameda County District Attorney's Office to find out what we are doing in terms of prosecuting people and holding people accountable. And what is unprecedented, and let me say this, postal worker attacks this is not an unprecedented thing. As my campaign pointed out, there have been crimes against postal workers happening under my predecessors for decades.
Yes.
And Congressman Swalwell, we couldn't find any tweet or any public place where Congressman Swalwell had attacked my predecessor. I just heard last week, you may have known, a postal worker was attacked in San Mateo County. No one is calling DA Steve Wagstaff in that county. So the question that you should ask Congressman Swalwell is, why is he attacking the Alameda County District Attorney's Office and holding us to a different standard than he did my predecessor? We know that he worked in the office, and I'm sure there were postal worker attacks during that time as well. Also, he should know as a congressman, that's a federal crime, and the Alameda County District Attorney's Office does not prosecute people for federal crimes.
Yeah, that's right.
When it comes to some of the protests and the protesters, obviously there was the one on 880 here in Oakland a few weeks back. You know, there was the big one on the Bay Bridge. That was San Francisco. I know that wasn't your county, but there was a big deal made that they all got off with essentially community service. How do you plan on addressing some of those to discourage this kind of behavior or support it?
Obviously, my job is not to address behavior in San Francisco County, so I'm not sure if that's me to comment on what
I'm actually
happened
talking
on
about
Bay
the ones
Bridge.
on 880 recently.
The
right?
ones
There was
on
75 in
880
San
are-
Francisco that got away with nothing. Some say that spurred this additional blocking of 880 for 8-10 hours that it was. How do you address protesters that do those things?
Yeah. We believe in the First Amendment.
That's right,
I've been a
that's right.
First Amendment constitutional lawyer for 40 years. And so that's what the public should know, is that I believe in the Constitution and the right to peaceful protest. In terms of those specific cases, they have not been presented to my office yet, and if they were, they're open cases. So I can't comment on those, yeah.
Do you feel there's a line? Obviously, peaceful protests, fine. Where does it cross the line? Where does it not consider peaceful? Obviously, physically breaking things, but these guys, while they weren't physically hurting anything, they obviously did cause some harm to, hundreds of thousands of people trying to just drive to work.
Those cases are open cases. I have not seen evidence of harm or of criminal violations at this time. We are anticipating that the CHP, and we have been in touch with the CHP, we work closely with them, and so we're anticipating that they will present the cases and we will evaluate them one by one by one.
So Dan Price, I know that you've said that, or your campaign has said in the past, that the opposition doesn't really understand what your office does as it relates to crime statistics, which they're constantly touting. Can you address that a little bit, and how does your office affect crime stats, whether they go up or down?
Yeah, I cannot speak for the opposition. I'm not sure where or how they get their information. I do know, what I can say is that they have flooded the social media and the media with misinformation. They are essentially making things up without any kind of foundation or any understanding actually of how prosecution works. In our county, most cases, as is true across the country, most cases result in plea bargains. And plea bargains are a common feature. It's the only way that the criminal justice system can operate. To my knowledge, prior to my administration, nobody counted how many cases were disposed of by the plea bargain. What we have found is that the data infrastructure in our office does not lend itself to the kind of counting or tracking that the opposition claims that they have been doing. So it's misinformation. And the public should know that we have initiated a partnership with the California Policy Lab, and that we have taken the initiative to create a public portal, as was done in the Cook County's District Attorney's Office. There are only 3 DA's offices in this state that have a public portal that allows people to actually track cases and be able to have the kind of statistical data that the opposition seems to think exists. Well, it's something that exists in the figment of their imagination.
Chief Price, I know you talked about the services your office is offering to victims and their families, and yet there's this lingering sense that among some that you haven't been sympathetic to them and their cases, or have handled their cases to the greatest extent under the law. How do you counter that, or how will you counter that moving forward?
The question, as I understand it, is that some people have a lingering sense that we don't care about victims. And if you go to page 11 of our 2023 annual report, you will see that we reduced, under my leadership and direction, that we reduced the 300 to 400 day processing time for bills and applications for compensation for victims in this county to between 59 days, approximately 59 days for applications and less than 100 days for bill payments. These things had spiraled out of control under my predecessor. We served 22,500 victims last year. We cleared up a backlog of 792 bills for vendors and 488 victim applications. We cleared up a backlog of 118 U visa applications, or 87 pending applications. What that means is someone who is an immigrant who has been a victim of crime needs to have a U visa to be able to stay here and get justice in our local criminal justice system. So providing these kinds of services and addressing the dysfunctional state of the victim witness services that we found in Alameda County was a top priority for my office, and we were successful in doing that. Hired multilingual speakers, including people who speak Farsi and Mayan and Mandarin and Hindu. We have done that intentionally to reflect the needs of this community. Hiring more African American advocates, again, to reflect the needs of the community. And so we have like so many languages. If you go to page 11 of the annual report, you will see what we have done to provide for victims. And certainly there are victims in this community that feel very supported. This week, it was my privilege and honor to stand with the family of Rachel Buckner, who went through the most horrific crime. The terrible thing that was done to their child. They will tell you, they received exceptional customer service from my team. And that is the standard that we have set for the Alameda County District Attorney's Office.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
That's right.
Amen.
Any other questions?
Just one broad question about, do you feel like this campaign that you're about to embark on now is going to distract from the work that you're doing in the office?
The question is, will this campaign distract from the work of my office? The Protect the Win campaign has been driven by volunteers for almost a year now. And they have stood in the gap for the residents of Alameda County as well as me personally. Because I have said to them over and over again, I have to do my job.
That's right.
Amen.
That's right. That's right.
We won this election. We should not have to run another election, but my team is doing it. I have to do my job. My first priority is to do the job that the people of Alameda County elected me to do. And these folks back here understand that. So you will see them at the farmers markets. You will see them at the town hall. You will see them talking, knocking doors again, talking to neighbors. You will see them fundraising, organizing, doing what we have to do to protect the win. And my part is to do my job.
Amen.
That's what you will see me doing. Continuing to prosecute cases, continuing to push for better victim services, continuing to empower and support the team that is getting these $1 million judgments and settlements, continuing to prosecute insurance companies that have defrauded our residents. We will do that. We will hold them accountable. We will do more. We will defeat human trafficking in this county. We have served notice to traffickers and pimps that we are no longer tolerating the kinds of sexual assaults that have occurred and become normalized in this county. So that's the job that you will see me doing for the next 5 years. Thank you.